Hi there. It is November 2nd. It is All Souls Day. Now, in this year, 2023, it's kind of a big deal for those of us who are fans of the music of the Beatles. And I've got a little bit of some of the things that mean something to me. My Lego John Lennon portrait, my Beatles sheet music, and some CDs that were released in my lifetime of their music. Today, what's considered the last Beatles song was released on Apple Records. It's called Now and Then, and it was made from a demo of John Lennon's. He made that with a piano and voice in 1977. And I thought I would just reflect a little bit on how it came together, as well as some of the lyrics, and I think how they're kind of fitting for this day. And I'll just put on a couple bars of it, and hopefully this doesn't trip the algorithms in YouTube and shut this down. It's got a little bit of a haunting, melancholy kind of tone to it, which I think is beautiful for this time of the church year. And I don't know that they released it for that reason at all. Usually there's other business interests when it comes to the music business about release dates. But there's something about this recording, the fact that it's being dubbed the final Beatles recording, and its poignancy for this time in the Northern Hemisphere, for the time of the changing of the weather. It's getting colder. Sometimes there's snow on the ground even at this time of the year, and certainly the earth kind of goes dormant, and so there's something kind of poignant about that. And also, this is a season of remembering in the church too, with All Hallows Eve on October 31st and All Saints Day on November 1st, and now All Souls Day on November 2nd. And then the first Sunday of November is observed as All Saints Sunday. And we remember those loved ones who have died in recent memory. So we remember through the generations as well. I think it's poignant because it lifts up John Lennon and his music. Obviously, he's been gone for 43 years. And so he wrote this and recorded this before he died, and it's that age already. And then George Harrison, just maybe 6 or so years before he died, added his parts to the recording. It wasn't released in the 90s at the same time as Free as a Bird and Real Love, but the Beatles worked on it in the 90s and then wanted to work on it some later on when they could get a better version of John Lennon's performance by editing it. And so we've got George Harrison who added to it, and now both Ringo and Paul are in their 80s playing on this recording. Having been born in 1940 and 1942, Ringo is 83 this year, and Paul is 81 this year. And both of them sound as they have. And so I think there's something about the tone of the recording, that it's in a minor key with a few major chords, and then also with these lyrics that if I make it through, it's all because of you. And this theme that permeates most of their songs. I mean, if there's a theme that permeates the majority of Beatles records and a lot of rock and roll, but certainly the Beatles records, it's love. And that comes through strongly as well. I think it's also cool that this recording was worked on by Jeff Lynne in the 90s, who worked with George Harrison in the Traveling Wilburys, but it was also worked on by Giles Martin, who's George Martin's son. And George Martin died just a few years ago, and Giles has done some work in recent years with his dad, George, as well as on his own with these historic and archival Beatles recordings. He worked on the Cirque du Soleil sort of mashups of Beatles songs a decade and a half ago, where they put different songs together for the Cirque du Soleil performances in Las Vegas. And now he worked on this one as well. It also uses technology that wasn't around 25, 30 years ago, which is the reason it didn't get released. And Harrison was kind of annoyed by the quality of Lennon's recording. The piano and the voice couldn't really be separated, and they ended up sort of conflicting with each other at different points in the recording. And so Peter Jackson, when he was working on the Get Back documentary just a couple of years ago, sort of commissioned new technology that would separate and isolate parts in a recording. So through this technology, which was also, I guess, AI backed, as I'm told, they were able to restore Lennon's vocal track so it could be a solo track and still have the piano track on its own track as well. And that's how this was done this time. So it ended up making a cleaner balance and something that, I guess, Paul McCartney and Ringo believed George Harrison would have been pleased with. Because George Harrison was getting kind of annoyed with this particular recording. Obviously, he was okay with Real Love and Free as a Bird. I want to lift that up too. There's a single from their BBC sessions that came out. This is the Free as a Bird single, and there was also a Real Love 2 that have come out in my lifetime. And so I'm kind of proud of that. As a Beatles fan, it's kind of neat to sort of have that cross-generational and span of time. So it's not just a memory, but something also that enters into my experience too. Because I was born after the Beatles broke up. And so these are momentous moments for Beatles fans of all ages. It's notable that Wallace's original demo recording was written by John Lennon, of course. It's been released, and the Wikipedia entry credits the Beatles version to Lennon, McCartney, Harrison, and Starkey. If you look at the Apple Music, where it gets to the end of the lyrics, it says written by John Lennon, which is interesting. But I know that McCartney added to the verses just a little bit as well. So I offer that just by way of reflection, and in this All Saints and All Souls time where we remember our loved ones, we also remember the way in which we're touched by music. That when we listen to these songs, they can take us back. This one is on a double A-side release with Love Me Do, which was their first big hit in 1962. And so you have this new Beatles recording with the first one being released now in 2023. And that's pretty awesome. And in that way, we remember our loved music, and maybe it'll bring us back to times when we were with our loved ones as well. So I offer that as a meditation for today, and blessings on your day and this All Saints time.